Today on Northern Revolutions, we're going to take a look at covers and originals to see who done it better. So stay tuned. Hey, Valley community, welcome to Northern Revolutions. I'm Rob. Welcome back if you're returning. Welcome if you're new. Today I have an idea for a video. I guess I shouldn't say I had an idea. My wife had the idea, and I told her if she keeps thinking up ideas, I'm going to have to make her executive producer. So, at any rate, the idea for today's video, we get talking about songs and bands that have covered songs. And so today's video is called Who Done It Better? We're going to take a look at some songs that I have originals of and covers of in my vinyl collection. And I'll give you my thoughts on which one I think is better. I am not a musicologist. I'm not a musician. While I do play guitar, I would not consider myself a musician by any means. So this is just my personal taste and what my ears think. But I thought it'd be a fun exercise to take a look at songs done by multiple artists. I've always thought that the original version of a song is always the better one. But I don't know that that's the case, having gone through this exercise. So we're gonna take a look at some songs today. So here we go. Okay, so the first song that I'm going to talk about is a 1968 single by Tommy James and the Shondells called Crimson and Clover. Everyone probably knows this song. The Tommy James version, a little slower in tempo, kind of got sort of a longing in his voice. There's great guitars on there that's got some, some fairly heavy reverb. Sort of got like that sort of pulsating guitar tone, which is kind of cool. And I think that's the distinctive characteristic of this song. Now, if we look at the other version of that, Joan Jett and the Blackhearts did this song. Joan's version, while her vocals are sort of, slow and quiet, they sort of lack that sort of longing quality that Tommy James had. The guitars are dramatically different. I mean, it's typical sort of Joan Jett power chords. Doesn't have that sort of, that sort of vibrating reverb sort of tone. The other thing about her version that I guess bugs me is in between verses it really picks up tempo, and it just not quite the same, I guess, which is fine. Everyone's got to put their own take on a song. So in my mind, who done it better? The Tommy James original. Next up on my list is the song Black Magic Woman, Fleetwood Mac, or Santana. So Black Magic Woman was written by Peter Green of Fleetwood Mac fame. It was a single that Fleetwood Mac released in 1968. Would later be on the Pious Bird of Good Omen record. I like the Fleetwood Mac version, of course. It's sort of bluesy, as you would expect, early era Fleetwood Mac stuff to be. Nice guitar work in it. Santana covered it 2 years later. on their album Abraxas. This is the version everyone knows. I don't know if it was a number one hit, but it was a big hit. Um, this version sounds a lot different than the Fleetwood Mac version. It's kind of got a sort of Latin flavor to it. Um, that's sort of owing to the fact that the intro is actually, it's sort of a medley, I guess. It's an instrumental of a 1966 song called Gypsy Queen, which they sort of blended into the beginning of Black Magic Woman. It is sung by Greg Raleigh, who was the keyboard player in Santana. But really the defining characteristic of this version of the song, I think, I don't know that anyone would argue, was Carlos Santana's guitar work. I think vastly superior to the guitar work done on the Fleetwood Mac version. So, Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac or Santana? Who done it better? In my opinion, Santana. Next on my list is a song from what, as I've said many times, the greatest live album ever recorded, the band's The Last Waltz. The song I want to talk about here is Evangeline, which is a song that the band did on this record with Emmylou Harris. Great song, written by Robbie Robertson of the band. It's a story of a Louisiana riverboat gambler. Great song. Emmylou's vocals are wonderful. I mean, Emmylou's voice is amazing. The instrumental work from the band on here is great. So what am I going to compare that to? A very similar record that is phenomenal that most of you won't have heard of. This is the Sadies. They're a rock, alt country, psychedelic band from Toronto. This is their In Concert Volume 1. This is their homage to The Last Waltz. So they did this song. So the Sadies recorded Evangeline live on stage at Lee's Palace in Toronto with Nico Case doing the Emmylou Harris part. And actually Garth Hudson is on this version of the song as well. This is as true to the original as you could possibly get. It's wonderful. So, Evangeline, the Sadies, or the band? Who done it better? If you just look at it song for song, in my mind it's a draw. They're almost identical. But I have to give it to the band because it was written by Robbie Robertson. So I'm going to give it to them. Okay, the next one I'm going to do, I'm going to talk about 3 versions of the same song. All Along the Watchtower. So All Along the Watchtower was written by Bob Dylan in 66 or 67. Came out on his John Wesley Harding album. I don't have that. I'm not a big Dylan fan. I've heard that version, and I don't really like it. As I don't like a lot of Dylan stuff, but I guess that's for you to crucify me in the comments and me to talk about it another time. What I'm going to talk about is the Jimi Hendrix version from Electric Ladyland, which was, I think, 2 years after the Dylan version. So Hendrix, had some reverence for Dylan and his amazing songwriting, and he sort of took All Along the Watchtower and reimagined it. At its core, he does it sort of as it's a sort of blues structure, and he sort of took whatever Dylan was playing on the harmonica and figured out a way to play it on a Stratocaster. Everyone knows this version. Jimi Hendrix guitar work. Is there anyone that beats Jimi Hendrix? I don't think so. But there's 2 more versions that we're going to talk about. a couple of years after Hendrix did his version, Dylan would do it again on this live album that he did with the band called Before the Flood. Um, Dylan has said many times in many interviews that once he heard the Dylan version, essentially he realized what the song should be. And really from that point on, he performed the song much like Hendrix did. Um, so in this version, it's Dylan doing it like Hendrix, being backed by the band. I love that it's live. I think Dylan's vocals are terrible. I don't think he can sing that well on a good day. On this version of the song, it's even worse. I think Robbie Robertson's guitar work on this is wonderful. I mean, I'm a huge Robbie Robertson fan, but it's nowhere close to what Hendrix did because it's Hendrix. And the third version I want to talk about is the version that U2 does on Rattle and Hum. I love U2's Rattle and Hum album. Most people don't. So I really like Bono's vocals on this song. And I like Edge's guitar work too, but it's nowhere close to being as good as Hendrix. It's I want to say a little more musical in tone, but that's not the right word. I mean, Hendrix is very, very psychedelic and very sort of experimental on the guitar. This is a little more traditional guitar stylings, if you will. I don't think you could get two guitar players that are more different than Jimi Hendrix and the Edge. The Edge likes to play with as few notes as possible, and Hendrix likes to play with as many as possible. So I really like Bono's vocals on this. So if I look at U2, Dylan and the band, or Jimi Hendrix, who done it better? No brainer, Jimi Hendrix. While I think his vocals are, not as good as Bono's, his guitar playing is just unmatched. So, and it goes well with his guitar playing, his vocals do. So, I got to give to Hendrix on this one. The next one I want to talk about is off of the Beatles' White Album, Helter Skelter. This is it's a loud song. The vocals are very raw and powerful. The guitars are very overdriven. I think they're slightly distorted, or maybe they're a little bit detuned. It's a very chaotic song, is what I think when I think of this. Not that it's bad. I love it because it's one of my favorite albums of all time. But it's sort of a loud, chaotic song by design. But it's wonderful. It's brilliant. I'm going to compare and contrast that. Bring back this record again. U2 did this version. I always loved how at the beginning it's live on this record, and Bono says to the crowd, "This is the song that Charles Manson stole from the Beatles, and now we're stealing it back." I always thought that was funny. Manson claimed that McCartney was speaking to him in Helter Skelter, and that led him on his, murder spree. That's what that reference means. So Bono's vocals are great. They're much more melodic. Nah, it's not the right word. They're much more musical than Paul's. I mean, Paul's are very raw and shouted almost, where Bono's are, more sung, if that makes any sense. Edge's guitar work on here is much less overdriven, much less reverb. Just a different. It's a cleaner. I think he's playing a Strat on this. It's a cleaner Strat tone. Which do I like better? That's a tough one. U2 or the Beatles? Who done it better? Everyone knows how big of a Beatles fan I am, but in this song, I gotta give it to U2. Just because I like that it's live, and I like the delivery. I like that it has a little more musicality to it and a little less chaos, if that makes any sense. Okay, I've got one more that I want to talk about. I want to talk about this for a reason. Because this is one of the few times that I can think of where an artist has covered an entire album from start to finish. And that is Ryan Adams' 1989, which is an entire album cover of Taylor Swift's 1989. It always fascinated me when Ryan Adams said that he was embarking on that project. I like Ryan Adams. I like him as a musician. His personal life, he's got some issues that he needs to work on. But I think what Ryan was trying to accomplish with this is, I think when Taylor did 1989, she had made a very marked departure from her pop country roots to full-fledged produced pop. And I think what Ryan was trying to do, and I'm not trying to speak for him, but I think he was trying to say that the songs, although they are highly overproduced on her record, they're still at their core good songs. And I think that's what he was trying to show people. So from this record, obviously every single song is the same, but I gotta look at a song called Out of the Woods. So on Taylor's record, it is very overproduced. The song is just, it's all programmed drum beats, which I don't like. Use a drummer, don't use a drum machine. But the programmed drum beats sound like programmed drum beats, and they really dominate the song, and her vocals seem very processed. Yeah, and it's sort of a more up-tempo, dancey sort of number. Ryan Adams' take on that song is quite different. It's very acoustic. It's, for most of the song, it's just him and an acoustic guitar. It's very melodic. It sounds very much like a sort of a longing ballad. You know, are we out of the woods yet? It's sort of kind of sort of a heartbreak-filled sort of ballad. I mean, one of the choruses builds and his band kicks in, and then it gears back down to just him and an acoustic guitar. But completely different songs, but the same song. So, Out of the Woods, Taylor Swift, Ryan Adams, hands down, Ryan Adams. I mean, this whole record actually fits in quite well with any of Ryan Adams' catalog. It's a great record. So, there you go, folks. There's just something that the wife and I were talking about in the car, covers versus originals. Let me know your take if you're familiar with any of these songs. Which version do you like better? Do you agree? Did I get it completely wrong? There are other versions out there that I didn't talk about of some of these songs. So let me know what you think. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I'll catch you on the flip side.